During my first year of rabbinical school, we had time off during Passover. I was living in Israel, in Jerusalem, as all first-year rabbinical students at HUC do. And I decided, along with my friend Sarah, to go to Greece and have a vacation there for the week. We called this our funnymoon because to anyone who wasn't us, it probably appeared like we were a young couple, newlywed and in love. We were not, we were just friends. But the whole time we navigated Athens, we navigated some Greek islands, enjoying ourselves some time in the sun away from our schooling. Before the trip, I taught myself to read the Greek alphabet, because you never know. And one day, lo and behold, we're in Athens, riding the subway. We reach our station. I get off the train. I'm walking on the platform. I'm looking around, trying to find my way out. And above us, a big sign read, Exodus. Exodus. It's just the Greek word for exit. I wondered in that moment what it would be like to encounter the word Exodus so often throughout my day. I wanted to ask a Greek speaker if every time they exited the subway or left a public building or walked through a door, they thought about the Exodus from Egypt. Because for this rabbinical student, for this Jew, the word Exodus evokes so much. If you went to a Seder last weekend or had a Seder at all during Passover, you might have encountered the part of our Haggadah that quotes the Mishnah that tells us that we're supposed to remember the Exodus every day of our lives. To do this, our ancestors, the rabbis, compiled daily prayers into our prayer book and into our daily cycle of praying and reciting Jewish liturgy to actually remember the Exodus throughout our prayers. You might not know this, but in the paragraphs following the Shema, during the Amidah, the standing prayer, in our mezuzahs and our tefillin, and even during the Kiddush, when we say a blessing over the wine later this evening, the rabbis inserted a recollection, a recitation of the Exodus, Zecher Litziat Mitzrayim. So we say the words every day. We're meant to, at least. But when we say them, my question is, do we feel them? Do we feel them the way that I felt them when I looked at that subway sign in Athens and saw Exodus? It's helpful to know the true nature of the Exodus story when we think about this, because the Israelites' exodus from Egypt wasn't in a straight line. We know that from our text and we know that from our stories, and I think it maps onto the way our life also doesn't go in a straight line. I'll quote this week's Parsha, which says that the Pharaoh let the people go, but God did not lead them by the way of the land of the Philistines, although it was nearer. For God said, the people may have a change of heart when they see war and return to Egypt. In other words, having just left slavery, newly tasting freedom, they need to build up a crust. They need to build up some toughness before truly experiencing freedom. This text lets us know that if they were to leave and go on the shortest route to get to the promised land, the first sight of hardship might send them running back into Pharaoh's arms. So God doesn't take them on the shortest path. He takes them on a path that is long and challenging. The very next line says, so God led the people round about by way of the wilderness. The Hebrew is vayasev, which is the same root of the word sivivon. Does anybody know what a sivivon is? That's the word for a dreidel. And so the same way that a dreidel spins and is wobbly and unbalanced and collapses, God sends the Israelites spinning. God spins the Israelites around like a dreidel. But this disorientation that they must have felt wasn't a detour. It was the whole point. The Israelites needed time to wobble, to find their balance, to gather the strength and resilience necessary in order to become a free people. The Torah might make this look intentional, but look at it with the literary eye, and you might realize that this divine intervention of being disoriented was retrojected. Retroactively, the Israelites saw that this disorientation was actually part of the plan all along. But I'm not so sure that the Israelites who left were thinking that way. If it were you, if it were me, I think I would head straight towards freedom. And it's not till later that I realize that the struggle was necessary and the struggle made the freedom taste even sweeter. So this is our tradition. The tradition of pursuing freedom but knowing inevitably we'll be spun around and disoriented. It's a story that's not simple or straightforward. It's complex, it's winding, and it's wobbly. In Pirkei Avot, we learn that the Torah contains everything that we need to know. All you need to do is turn it and turn it and turn it again to find the answers. The very next line of that text says, Lefum Tsa'ara Agra, which means according to the labor, according to the struggle, is the reward. So we're called to strive for freedom, although we know it will involve struggle. That struggle is what prepares us and shapes us and makes us exactly who we are. We think about our ancestors and the way they passed down their story of freedom to us. We can't imagine for a second that they did so without putting up a fight. So we too need to anticipate a struggle, know that it's coming, and be prepared for it in community. So as we move through our own wilderness, whether it's political or personal, relational, financial, whatever it may be, we know that life doesn't provide a straight path, but we need to remember that disorientation, wobbling, is not failure. It may be part of that route to freedom. I think this is said very well in a poem that I found in our Siddur, and I want to read it as a closing. It's on page 55 if you'd like to read along with me, or perhaps just listen. It's by a rabbi named Mitchell Fisher, who was ordained as a rabbi in 1927. Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency. Make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai. Deny to us the false Shabbat which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred, and I'll add wobbled, to action. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Blessed are you, God, who sanctifies Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.